Hi everyone, I'm Arglefump. This is a review for the Warriors Firestar Quest book. Let me see what the title is. Warriors Super Edition #1 Firestar's Quest. So I thought this was a good idea to have a book all about Firestar because I've been missing him. Like, he was the main character of the first Warrior Cat series. That was great. I liked him. And then in the second series, he just got pushed into the background. And in the third series, he got pushed even farther to the background. And now he's just the nagging grandpa who tells everybody, no, you can't have fun and go on adventure. Blah, 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 blah. It's like, wow, what happened to you, Firestar, buddy? So this book takes place in between series 1 and 2. Back when Firestar was still in his prime and still the awesome main character of the series. So I think that was a good idea. That's one of the positive things. I also liked some of the lore that got introduced at the start of the book. Although that is also a problem because this book came out shortly after the first field guide book. And I did a review for that one. So that book starts with explaining how the forest came to be, how the 4 clans popped into existence. And this book takes that story and just throws it out, just completely ignores it, makes up its own backstory. So whoever wrote this book clearly did not share notes with whoever wrote the Field Guides book. And it's really awkward that the Field Guide book is outdated within like 2 months of publication. Ouch. Okay. So, I also liked seeing some of the characters from the first series. When Firestar goes back to his old home and he meets his buddy Smudge from the first book. I thought that was cool. And those are about all the things I liked about this book. The rest of the book I thought was kind of bad. I think the entire book is bad. It's got 1 or 3 things that I liked. And then the rest of it is just, oh, no, this is not good. So, be warned, the rest of this review is just going to be me complaining about how bad this book is. It's too long. The problem is that the book is too long. It's sort of like Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. If we cut out 200 to 300 pages, the book would be a lot better. Every story beat goes on for like 30 or 50 pages more than it should. It's like the story should be over, but it just keeps going. So I'll give you an example with like the first 300 pages of the book. The first 100 pages, Firestar gets his quest, and that takes 100 pages. And that is way too long for him to actually get his call to action. He's told he needs to go to the end of the river, and that's another 100 pages. He and Sandstorm travel along the river, and that takes 100 pages. At one point, they get separated, and they find their way back to each other. It's very similar to Midnight, I believe, the book where the 4 cats went on a journey through human territory. I didn't think it was interesting in that book. I didn't think it was interesting in this book. It just wasn't interesting at all. It's mostly just Firestar and Sandstorm by themselves, and they don't do much besides bicker with each other, too. I really didn't like that story for 2 reasons. So the story of Firestar and Sandstorm, it goes back to Spotted Leaf, who is Firestar's first girlfriend, his true love. In the very first Warriors book, they met each other, they had a passionate romance, and Sandstorm is a little jealous because she's Firestar's wife, and she's like, well, you're still in love with your ex-girlfriend. You're still in love with Spotted Leaf. And she learns that Spotted Leaf, because she's a medicine cat, she visits Firestar in his dreams, and they have more romantic moments every single night. And Sandstorm gets really jealous. And so there are 2 big problems with this story. Number 1, there was no grand romance between Firestar and Spotted Leaf. Okay, I am not buying the fact that they are a fantastic romantic couple. There was no romantic chemistry between them in the first book. They barely interacted in the first book, as I recall. I think the first book he dealt with Yellowfang all the time, not Spotted Leaf, because Yellowfang was important to the plot later on in the series. And then number 2, I hate the moral of the story, which is that Sandstorm just needs to get over it. That's the moral of the story. Guess what? Your husband has a secret girlfriend who he has a grand romance with all the time. Get over it, Sandstorm. You just need to put up with it. That's the moral of the story. Sandstorm basically says, I just need to be more understanding and patient of the fact that you're constantly cheating on me with Spotted Leaf. It's okay that you love her better. What you and her have is special. And that is just such a garbage moral. Just really terrible, terrible love lesson to teach to the kids that are reading this book. If the situation was reversed, okay, if Sandstorm was cheating on Firestar every single night, he wouldn't put up with that. He would break up with Sandstorm. That would be the end of their cat marriage, and rightly so. You know, so the book basically gives Firestar permission to commit adultery on his wife every single night, and I think that's just because he's the main character. That's all. Like I said, if the situation was reversed, he would not put up with it. It would be a terrible situation. And so I just really didn't like that story. So that was bad. That was bad. So it takes them 200 pages to reach the end of the river, and it takes them about 100 pages to meet the cat that they're supposed to meet. It takes them a long time because they do a lot of exploring. They figure out the territory. It's kind of like at this gorge, so kind of like a cliffside area, and so they explore it at length. They visit all the cat houses at length, and they meet the various human houses nearby and the cats that live there. And there's a couple of rogues and rogue cats. And yeah, it takes them like 100 pages to meet the cat that they were destined to meet. And that's it. That's 300 pages. The first 300 pages is them actually getting to the person that they came all this way to meet. So that's just way too long. I feel like that should have been 100 pages, maybe 150 pages. But that's 60% of the book is just wasting time before the story gets started for real. And that's what I don't like about it. As I said, every story beat goes on for like 50 pages more than it should. And then even the final 200 pages, there's a lot of slow time. Like they're planning a meeting. And so we get to see them tell cat number 1, and then cat number 2, and then cat number 3, and then cat number 4. That was an extremely long and boring chapter where they individually tell every single cat in the neighborhood about the meeting, and we have to hear every single individual reaction. Ugh. Oh, man. Okay, but I'll come back to that later. I guess another problem with the length is I'm not sure how long this book should be, because it's a super edition. Generally, when books have a super edition, they're double length. Like, hey, let's go Babysitter's Club, super special. Those tend to be about double length, right? There's a couple of Nancy Drew super mysteries, but I don't have them with me. Anyway, normal Warrior Cats book is 300 to 350 pages. So double length of that is like 600 to 700 pages. This one's actually 500 pages, and I feel that's more manageable. If this was 600 or 700 pages, I would hate the book even more. I already don't like this book because it's way too long, and they stretch everything out. Like, if they had twice as much story, that would be good. But this has about as much story as a normal Warrior Cats book, maybe even a little less story than your average Warrior Cats book, because, you know, there's no sequel that they're setting up for. So, yeah. Another, I guess, problem with the book, as I've already indicated, it's just Firestar and Sandstorm, and they're on this long journey away from their clans. And I feel like that has to be the case, because they can't have a big, super important adventure, because that would ruin continuity. That would ruin the continuity of the series. So, like, they can't have an adventure that actually affects the clans or the main storyline of the series. So that's kind of unfortunate that the premise forces Firestar and Sandstorm to be alone and not do anything too important. So, let's see. I think it's about time I get into the actual story, huh? So, what's the story? Apparently, oh man, this is crazy talk. So there used to be 5 clans in the forest. Yeah, the forest, it's not 4 clans. There was a 5th clan called SkyClan, and they were really good at jumping, and that's why they were called SkyClan. And they were kicked out of the forest when humans started building houses in the forest. All the other clan cats were like, oh, sorry to hear that. You should leave. Leave the forest now. Sort of like the Lion King. Run away, Simba. like what Scar says to Simba. So they basically forced SkyClan out of the forest, and they lie to their children about it. For generations, they lie about what happened, and that's why nobody's ever heard of SkyClan before. So I figured this would be, what, 200 years ago or something? It's 2 generations. It's 2 generations. So, Blue Star's mother would have been in the forest when this happened. Actually, the mother of lots of cats, their parents would have been in the forest when this happened. It was just 2 generations ago. It's like, hi, I'm, because the cat they meet is the grandchild, the only remaining grandchild of the original clan. So, it's not that long. I'm surprised everybody has completely covered up the story of SkyClan in that time. So the book sort of starts with Firestar. He has visions of SkyClan and wondering what's going on, and then his old buddy Smudge shows up from the human territory, and he wants Firestar to come back to the human territory and check it out. And that's interesting to see him interact with his old human buddy, as well as a new cat who's moved into his house because his owners replaced him. And so apparently what happened was, and this actually kind of makes sense, is that they tore down a tree. The humans tore down the SkyClan camp tree. And that's what caused all these visions of SkyClan cats to appear. They've been showing up to Smudge all the time, and they've been showing up to Firestar all the time. And they like Firestar because he's not actually descended from one of the clans that kicked him out, but he's still a clan leader. And so they give him the quest to go and rebuild SkyClan. Just go to the end of the river. That's where the SkyClan members basically move to. And that's it. So like I said, that's like 100 pages. The book fluffs it up with some story about that the one cat goes blind. And Bramble Paw gets upgraded to Bramble Claw. That's pretty interesting. And something I felt which really should have been pushed more is the fact that Gray Stripe and Sandstorm are worried that Firestar is, because he's spending all this time in human territory, they're worried he's going to go back to being a human cat pet, a kitty pet. And that was kind of interesting, but nothing really comes of it because they immediately go on their journey, Firestar and Sandstorm. As I said, it takes them 100 pages to reach the end of the river. It's just way too long. And then another 100 pages before they meet this cat. And the cat's name is Sky. Dun, dun, dun. And then it takes like another 100 pages before they actually rebuild SkyClan. Basically, they kind of recruit cats one by one. Like, we've got this pair of cats that like to harass Sky, and Firestar basically teaches them how to hunt and how to fight, and Sandstorm helps too. I think there's I can't even remember now. There's like 3 or 4 other cats. The cats join for different reasons. I feel like they save one cat probably from an attack or something, and then another cat is like trapped in a house by a mean owner, and she has pets. She just gave birth, and that's why she's trapped in the house. And so they save her from the house and they take her out, and so she gets to be their first nursing mother. There's also another nursing mother, and I believe they staged another daring rescue from humans to get their first medicine cat. And they have that big meeting where they tell every single cat in the neighborhood about the clan. And I don't know what to think about this section. It's halfway interesting and halfway boring because it's starting a clan, it's introducing all these new cats to the clan, and none of these cats are ever going to show up again in the series, which is sad. It's like, why are we spending so much time trying to develop these characters? Also, halfway through, they all get new warrior names, and after that, I completely forgot who everybody was. It's like, you can't call these characters by a certain name for 150 pages and then switch their names for the last 100 pages and expect me to really keep up. So that didn't work so well. One of them is kind of aggressive and wants to be the clan leader, but he ends up being the clan deputy. Some of the stuff is we need a sign from StarClan before we can proceed. So they need a sign from StarClan before they can pick the clan leader. And that just gets pushed off. I don't know why the warrior ancestors waited so long. Really, the warrior ancestors did a bad job of communicating with the cats in this book. And that's kind of typical for this series. But, like, the first 100 pages where they're trying to give Firestar the quest to save StarClan, they could have just shown up and talked to him, right? Instead of just having visions of cats leaving the forest. So they're like ghost cats leaving the forest, and that really freaked him out. And he does eventually have, like, talk with Blue Star. He goes to the Moonstone and talks with Blue Star and gets more of a thorough explanation there. But yeah, I just didn't like how the StarClan interacted, and there's a lot of worrying about StarClan. That's another plot point. That reminds me of another plot point. Like, when Firestar hears, whoa, StarClan lied to us about SkyClan. They've been lying to all the cats for generations about the terrible things they've done. That kind of shakes his faith in StarClan. And nothing comes of it. It just goes back to being normal, and it's like, I still love StarClan. They're still awesome. I'm still gonna believe in the warrior ways and trust my warrior ancestors about everything. So, we gotta have a big finale, right? So what's the big finale? There are rats, and one of the rats can talk human. He's a smart rat. Talk cat. So he can talk to the cats, and he gives the other rats orders, and he's planning to attack and kill the cats. He doesn't want a cat clan in his territory. And that sort of leads to weird questions, because the cats normally hunt rats and mice all the time, but one of them is smart enough to actually talk. It's like they're killing sentient beings, and you know, if cows could talk, would humans eat cows? I don't think so. That feels wrong. Also felt it was a little weird when they had the badger attack in the main series too, because the badgers can talk. I guess only midnight the badger can talk, and that's their excuse for why it's okay to have the cats battle badgers. I don't know. So there's a big battle with the rats, and that takes forever because the rat villain introduces himself, threatens that he is going to attack, and then it's like 150 pages before the attack actually does happen. Yeah, it was a really long time, and it was kind of an exciting battle. I feel like the cats went about it in a very unintelligent way, and they sort of get saved at the very end by a last-minute realization that's like, wait a minute, if we kill their leader, the rats will just scatter. And the leader is the one in the center. Basically, all the cats are sort of formed around the leader. So he's sending messages by tail twitches and nose twitches and things like that. So Firestar just runs into the middle of the rats. The rats, kills the one rat, and that's it. All the rats are gone. And then after that, StarClan sends the vision saying who should be the leader. We get to see the entire ceremony where the new leader, SkyClan, gets 9 lives. Yeah, and then that's it. Firestar goes back home. Did he lose a life? I feel like he lost a life. And yeah, he loses his life and just basically dedicates like 3 months of his life to rebuilding this new clan. In the meantime, we don't know what happened back in the main forest. Graystripe just took over, and I guess he did a really good job. So, I think that's it. So, still seems kind of sad that my buddy Firestar is losing most of his lives. Well, he's down to like 5 lives now. He's lost like half of them. 1 in the battle with Scourge. And then he said, oh, I'm down to 6 lives here. So if he lost another life in the rat battle, I don't know. I need like a thorough list of every single life he's lost. And I'm sure there is one that exists somewhere on the internet, sure. Still, so Firestar's Quest, that's my long review for this overly long book. Did I like it? No. Were there a couple things that were neat? Yeah, the idea of a SkyClan, a fifth clan, that was kind of neat. Firestar going back to his old human territory, that was kind of neat. That happened, that coincided with him sort of losing faith in StarClan for lying to him. Yeah, that was kind of interesting. And then the rest of the book was kind of garbage. So I liked the first 50 or so pages of the book, and then the rest of it was just not good. It just went on forever. It takes way too long for Firestar to get what should have been a straightforward quest. And that's a problem with the series in general. Like, if the quest had been specific, like, SkyClan, StarClan, we have these messages and prophecies, and they're always vague. If it just been specific, if it just been go to the cave near the ocean, that would be great. That would be great, and it would save a lot of time. And yeah. Anyway, I've complained about in my other reviews about bad prophecies before. This book actually contains the prophecy for Book of Three, the Power of Three series. Yeah, so we get the prophecy about Firestar's grandchildren in this one. But yeah, it takes way too long to get to SkyClan, and then it takes way too long to actually form SkyClan. I keep confusing SkyClan and StarClan. I'm sorry about that. And I also like the idea of having a book about Firestar again, because he's my favorite character. So I liked him having another story. Didn't like how it was set during this particular time. Like, I get it. That was when he was the main character. That's when he was at his most interesting. But it also means he can't do anything that affects the main series. He can't do anything too important. So his story is he gets sent off to help some other cats form a clan, and then at the end they fight some rats as a topper. And it just did not need to be a 500-page book. That was the main problem. Like, if this had been just like 250 pages, I would have accepted it just fine. I'm sure people would have complained. It's like, oh, this is just like a normal book in the series. What makes this a super edition? Blah, blah, blah. I think it would have been better if it hadn't been so darn long. Nothing happens. Oh, man. Yeah, so I don't know what to say. I've been complaining about this book for like 20 pages, 20 minutes. So I'm sorry, but I give this book a thumbs down. This definitely was not a book I enjoyed reading. I think probably a 1 or a 2 out of 10. Like I said, 2 out of 10, because I was able to list like 3 or 4 things which I did think were interesting. Yeah, I'll be generous. 2 out of 10 is what is the score I'll give this book. Not a good start to the Super Edition series. Was a cool idea to have Firestar have an adventure. I just wish it wasn't such a bad one.